Hey everybody, it's Stasia again. Thank you so much for being with us here today. Thanks, Andy. That was a fantastic introduction to Google Analytics and how it can help you grow your business online. The next session is going to be a little bit of a deeper dive into looking at the actual tool. And I'm going to show you some really basic things that you can look at in the reports to help you get started. A lot of you are brand new to the web, you're brand new to Google Analytics, and when you first open up Google Analytics, it can be a little daunting. So I'm going to give you one sort of framework to look at this piece of software to figure out how you can use it. And I'm going to call it the ABCs of Google Analytics. So in this session, I'm going to show you what you can learn from Google Analytics. I might call it GA for short. I'm going to show you some of the reports that can show you some of the answers, and then I can give you an idea about some of the things that you can do with this information. Now, one of the things to keep in mind with GA is that everything in these reports is really customizable. I'm not going to do any of that here in this session. It's just to get you started to show you the different pieces. But then you can really fine-tune the reports to look at the information that's actually important for your business. Okay. So let's start talking about what you'll be doing with GA. It is the analytics process, and it works like this. First, you're going to measure. You have to figure out what's happening or what's not happening on your website. Then you're going to take that information and you're going to try to learn from it. You might say, okay, well, I've been sending people to this page to do this thing, but nothing is happening, or it's not happening enough. And so based on that information, you'll then take action. You'll take the information that you learn and then apply that to your website. And that might be as simple as moving a button or increasing your font size or reducing a picture or adding more photographs to a page. But this experimentation, this process of analysis can help you improve the effectiveness of your website. And that's what Google Analytics is for. So let's break this down into the ABCs. You're a business owner and you want to know a few things. First, how are visitors actually getting to my website? And that's the acquisition process, which we will be talking about. B, are you creating effective content that leads to the behavior that you want? Now, don't forget, you're creating a website that you're designing to get somebody to do something, whether that's to buy something or to learn about something or to contact you. And the information that you will see in these reports can help you figure out whether or not those people are taking or acting on those behaviors that you hope they would once they've got to your site. And then the C, the big C, is conversions. And you want to know from these reports, how is everything that you're doing on your website impacting your bottom line? You might be investing a lot of time, money, energy into working on whether it's online advertising or whether it's a social media campaign, but you won't know whether or not it's truly making money for your business unless you measure that. And you can do that with Google Analytics. So let me show you a few ways to get started where you can find the answers to these questions using Google Analytics reports. Okay, so here are two examples. If you have been following GYBO Week, you may remember the example of stasiasbakery.com. I am, in fact, that Stasia, and I won't tell you too much about me, but truth be told, I cannot cook. I cannot bake. And so that's really a completely made-up example. So a lot of people actually come up to me and ask if I'm really good at that. I made it as an example site a long time ago, and it's been sort of adopted through a lot of the presentations. But that is going to be our first example business for this presentation. So we have a local business, we have a bakery, they have a brick-and-mortar storefront, they make custom cakes for weddings, they may even ship their cakes. People could actually buy them or order them online, and then they could send them around the country. So that's our first example business. Now, the second example is actually real. It's a nonprofit that I do work for. And so when I'm not online working at my computer, I am actually scrubbing up opossum poop and bottle feeding deer and doing all sorts of fundraising and social media marketing for Walden's Puddle, which is in the Nashville, Tennessee area. So those are my two examples, and I'm going to show you how both of these websites might use Google Analytics to improve what their ultimate outcome is, what they want to happen when visitors come to their website. And to make the screenshots a little more fun, I have put pictures of cake and cute animals because, screenshots of software can be a little boring. So let's go through this. So let's start talking about how people actually find your website. One thing that you'll see in Google Analytics is there are two ways that we can look at a site. There's a source, and the source is a way that someone came to your website. So a source could be Google, a source could be email marketing, a source could be social media. And then you've got the medium. So for Google, it could be, the medium would be an organic result, or it could be CPC, which is an advertisement result. So those are the two ways that you can actually break down the different ways that people are finding your website in Google Analytics. And in this section, I'm going to be talking about the ABC cycle, which is this process where we are looking to acquire a visitor to our site, acquire that visit to actually get to our web pages. Then we want to look at B, behavior. And behavior is what they did once they got to that website. And then finally, C, conversion. And we'll talk about the acquisition reports and what to do with this information. All right, so let's start with A for acquisition. You can see here I have broken out the section that you'll see inside Google Analytics, and underneath there is a series of different types of reports that can give you some information about that particular set of data. So under acquisition, we're going to see how people are actually getting to our website. This first overview slide is actually a really nice window into that whole cycle. You can see in the screenshot in the back part of it where it's divided into three separate areas: an acquisition column, a behavior column, and a conversions column. Now this example screenshot shows we have some data for acquisitions, we have some data for behavior, but there's nothing for conversions because it hasn't been set up yet. Now, if you were back in my Grow Your Business Online presentation from, was it yesterday or a few days ago, you will remember that I sort of put a challenge out to everyone who's building a website, that when you start building a site, you need to have a goal in mind. It's not just enough to build an online brochure. You really want to know what's supposed to happen, what it is that you want people to do. And so this is where people get hung up, where we may have that data in those reports. We may know how people are getting there and what pages they're looking at, but we have no idea what the value of that visit is to our business. So that's what we'll be talking about today. And that's what this report reflects, that this person hasn't yet set up anything for the conversion column. I'll show you how to do that today. All right, so let's look at this second set of reports. This is called channels. And channels, it's really a group. It's a way for us to sort of block out different types of traffic that are coming into our website. So in the first example, we have organic search, and that's a channel. For example, someone might go to Google and then do a search for help for baby rabbit or buy wedding cake Nashville, Tennessee. And because that came in through an organic search engine, it's going to be grouped into that channel. The second channel that you see here is direct traffic. And direct traffic means that someone actually knows the URL for your website and then typed it into that search bar to get there. That's another reason when we talked about registering a domain name earlier in this week, we talked about trying to get a domain name that's relatively short, easy to spell, and easy to remember. And that's where it's going to help you here, because if people can remember that domain name, then you're probably they'll have an easier time getting to you directly by typing it into their browser window. This traffic also includes if someone has your website bookmarked and they click on that bookmark. So there are other ways that we can actually collect things into this particular channel. Now, the third one that you see in this example is paid search. So if you are using an advertising platform like Google AdWords, you can start to see this group of traffic grouped in this channel. And fourth, in this example, is social. So all of the social media outlets that you use to drive traffic to your website, you can see that data. So the nice thing about this report is then we can compare those buckets, and we can see which of these channels is actually more more effective, more profitable for our business if we have that set up. And then we can use that information to say, hey, social media, I can see I'm actually getting a lot of traffic, but people aren't converting. And so what do you need to do? How do you need to adapt your strategy to really start improving your performance in each of these different channels? Okay, so let's look at another report within here. This is the all traffic report. Unlike channels, which had grouped everything into buckets, this report is going to give you a breakdown of all of the different ways that people are getting into your site, line by line. In this example, the first driver of traffic to this website was Google Organic Search. And that means that somebody went to Google and they typed in some keywords, and that eventually brought traffic into the site. But then I can go down the list and see what else is driving traffic. The second in this example was direct. The third was Google CPC, which means that the third most popular way people are getting to my site is using AdWords. So this can help give you even more insight, specific traffic source by traffic source, how people are getting to your site. Okay, now this is another interesting report. This is called the Referral Traffic Report. And this is going to give you a list of all of the other websites that are driving traffic into your site. And some of these may be obvious to you. You may go down that list and say, all right, I know that people would find links to my site from here and here, but you can also learn some really cool things here. Maybe there was a review written about your business on a different website that you didn't know about, and then you can see from this report, hey, look, I'm getting all of these visitors from this website that I didn't know about. Maybe there's a popular blogger that found your website and wrote about it and is driving traffic. But this is a great way for you to get insight into all of the places that you may not expect that traffic to be coming from and see that list of referrals there. So this is another good one for you to look at to see where you may be able to capitalize on partnerships, or where maybe you want to focus advertising dollars, or maybe where you want to start distributing content so that they can put it on their site and hopefully link back to yours. Okay. Now, this report here, this is under the section that's labeled Search Engine Optimization. And this one's going to require a little bit of work on your part, because you have to take another step first. You have to set up Webmaster Tools for your business. If you were at my Grow Your Business Online presentation the other day, you heard me talk a little bit about it. Google Webmaster Tools is a free resource. It's at www.google.com/webmasters. And what it does, in a nutshell, is it helps you understand how Google sees your website. You can also get alerts. You can submit sitemaps. There are all sorts of really neat things that you can do with Webmaster Tools. But another way to use it is to then connect it and incorporate that data into your Google Analytics reports. And this is going to be useful because you can see things like, all right, there's the keyword, the query, baby opossum. This can show you when somebody did a search for baby opossum, what was your web page showing up in the search results, which position was it on that page, and what is the click-through rate? How many times did people actually click to go and visit your website after seeing that on the page? So let's talk about what you might learn from that. Maybe you see that baby opossum gives Walden's Puddle a lot of opportunity to show up, but the click-through rate is pretty low. By the way, click-through means it's basically the ratio of how many times your website appears versus how many times somebody clicked on it. So if you have a low click-through rate, it means that somebody saw your website a lot, but for some reason they didn't click on it to go and learn more. So that's something for you to be on the watch for. You say, all right, I'm definitely missing opportunities. And in that case, what would you do about it? That might tell you that you need to actually do some optimization on your website. So people would then be more inclined to click on it and visit your site. It might be that you improve your page titles or your page descriptions, but you want to do something to help people take that next step and then visit your website. Anyway, you can set this up first. You want to set it up in Webmaster Tools and then verify your site. And then when you go back to Google Analytics, you would actually connect it through your property settings. If you have any questions about where these things are in Google Analytics, I love the Help Center. There's a Help Center that gives you step-by-step instructions on how to set all of these pieces up. All right, let's keep going. What do you do with all of this information? Take a look at all of those traffic sources, and you want to figure out which ones are most important for your business. And then, based on that, you can take actions like possible partnerships or advertising or search engine optimization. You can learn about the sites that are sending traffic directly to you. You can develop your SEO strategy, and then if you find that there are certain areas that are, you can even hook them with AdWords that are profitable or less profitable, you can allocate your advertising budgets based on what's working or what's not working as well from these reports. Here's a cute picture of raccoons just to kind of lighten up the mood so you don't see screenshots the whole time. Okay, so let's talk about creating effective content. So now we've covered the A's, the acquisition step, which is how we get people to your website from the various channels. But now let's talk about the B's here. And that is what people actually do when they get to your website. And that's really, really important because don't forget, your website exists to help people achieve a desired action. What that action is depends on your business. If you are a bakery, the desired action might be, I want someone to go through and look at my gallery or my portfolio of different desserts and then place an order. The action might be, I want someone to go to my contact page and then get directions from their location to my business. The action might be, I want them to go to my website and download this white paper so they can learn more and hopefully call a sales rep. It really just depends on what you want them to do. And then once you define that, you can start and see, well, is that actually happening on my website? So B is for behavior. Andy actually gave you a little bit of a definition. I'm going to go over them a little bit on some of these terms. You can see here I'm looking at the overview and the overview report in the behavior section. And we are looking at a page, and we can see that for this particular page, there were 4,908 page views. That means that during this period of time, this page was viewed almost, well, more than 4,900 times. But that page could have been viewed multiple times within the same session, meaning I went to the website, I went to this page, and then I went back to it 2 or 3 times. Now, the second column shows you unique page views, and that means that for every visit, if I visit that page, it's counted, but if I visit it multiple times, it's counted only once. So now we know that this page was viewed 3,913 unique times during that time period. I can see the average time on the page and the bounce rate. And so here we see that 59.65% of the visitors came to that page and then left without taking any further action. And we all can also see that this was an exit page 46.35% of the time. So it's giving us this information and this insight page by page on what's actually happening here on the site. Now, the site content reports actually let you drill down and dig deeper into each of the pages. And we can get all of that information for every single section in the site and every groups of pages within that section. So what might you do with that? You might say, okay, well, everyone's coming to this animal care area section, but then this has got a really high bounce rate. Or maybe we get to this page and we know that everybody is exiting right around this area of the website. So what do you do with that? If you have a high bounce rate, like Andy said, that's not always a bad thing. One of the things that we've noticed is that, particularly with the animal care website, a lot of people come into the section about how to find or how to help a baby rabbit, and then they leave. And that page actually has detailed information about what to do if, say, your dog dug up a nest and dragged in 3 poor little rabbits into your house, and you're like, oh my gosh, what in the world am I going to do with this? A lot of people do the search. They find that page in Google search results. They click on it. They get the information, and then they leave. One of the things that we could do with Google Analytics is set up a way to actually track an interaction on that page. So maybe we could include a video on that page that had, instructions on how to keep that rabbit warm. And then if we track that with Google Analytics, we wouldn't just see simply that it's a bounce. We could see that this is a page where those visitors came and they did something. So you can get creative in different ways. One visit to a visit to a website where it's just one page isn't always bad, but you can use Google Analytics to start to figure out, well, did they get what they were looking for when they actually came to that page or not? Okay, here's another one that I like. It's the landing pages report. And you can actually see page by page what's happening there, how long they spent on that page, how many pages visits it got, how many were unique, and then you can actually go and look at that page. The idea here is to go page by page and identify your most important pages, and then try to figure out what you could do to maybe help improve your measure of success for that page, whether that's customer engagement, whether that's getting people to take that desired action, the conversion from that page. But that's another way that you can get some insight into the behavior on your site. Okay, here's the exit pages report, and this is going to give you a breakdown of where most people actually leave your site. When Marvin was here the other day talking about building your free website, we talked a lot about calls to action, and he recommended putting your calls to action in the header of the footer of the site. I'll also put it out there that you should review your reports to see where people are leaving. This is your chance to basically wave goodbye. This is where they're going to be gone. So you want to make sure that if you want people to do something later, or to remember to call you, or to get those directions, look at this report, figure out where most of them are leaving, and then make sure that that page includes the information that a visitor needs before they go. All right, so here it is, what to do with all of this information. Learn what visitors are interested in your site. You can drill down into the sections and the pages to see what they looked at and how effective those pages were, and learn where people enter and where they exit your website. And this is one of the opossums that I help at the puddle. Okay, so how is all of this impacting your bottom line? So again, not to beat a dead horse, but a website is not just a static brochure. A website is a tool for you to help you grow your business. And if you're just getting started, the first step is to publish that site. But I really want you to think, well, what is this website supposed to do for me? And that's an important first step. It's actually something that many people you should revisit. Even if you have an existing site, your business goals may change or evolve over time. And so with that change, you can start using Google Analytics and your website to help accommodate those changes and to track it. So in this section, I'm going to cover the C's in the ABCs of Google Analytics, the conversion reports. So we've covered acquisition, we've covered behavior, and finally we're at conversion, the way that we measure success. So the first step is to decide what your goals are. The basic step for web analytics, or for any web analyst, is to say, okay, well, let's figure out what we want to do, figure out how we're going to track it, how we're going to measure it, and then how we're going to test to see if we can improve it. And that's what this section is for. So let's talk about the different type of goals that you can have and track with Google Analytics. The first goal type is a destination goal. And basically that means that you can track if a specific page on your website loads. Let's take an easy example. Let's say that you have that local bakery and you have a request for a quote form. And you want to track if a visitor to your website has filled out the form and requested a quote. You can track if that visitor reaches the thank you for your quote request page. So that's one way that you can track that process through from the beginning all the way to the end and see if your site is working. Another way that you can track whether or not your site is behaving for you, working for you, is duration. And a duration is simply a visit to your website that lasts a minimum amount of time that you can specify. So let's just say that you have a very information-rich site, and your job is to provide information to those visitors. You may measure success if somebody spends a minimum of 7 minutes reading your website. And so you can use Google Google Analytics to figure out, yes, a visitor did come, here are the pages they looked at, and look, they spent 8 minutes on our site. We're going to count that as success. The third type of goal that we can track in Google Analytics is the number of pages or the screens that a visitor saw on an individual visit. So now we can say, all right, we want to track that they looked at least 10 pages of our site before they left. The last kind of goal is something that you'll have to do a little bit of extra setup for. It's a way for you to actually track an event that happens on a web page on your website. So for an example, you could set it up that I am going to count a conversion if somebody visited my web page and then viewed this video, or downloaded this application to work at my bakery, or filled out this application to become a volunteer at Walden's Puddle. So in this way, you can kind of, remember we talked about bounce rate, how that's not always bad, but you can use this event tracking as a way to really see, okay, they came to this one page, but look at all of these great things that they did when they went there. They filled out a form, they filled out a form that's submitted to the page, they downloaded this white paper, they watched my video, so you can see that there was all this customer interaction on this page. So those are the 4 types of goals that we can create. Let's show you how to set them up. So from the conversion section, the C area that I talked about today, you see the overview here. And we are going to create a way to track something that of value to our business. If you were, say, Walden's Puddle, 2 ways that they might measure success would be, did somebody visit the website and then make a donation? Did somebody sign up to get email updates? And so from here, we would start that process. There's a wizard that walks you through that goal setup. Now, Google Analytics launched a new way, these templates that you can use to make the process easier. And depending on the type of business that you are, that you set up when you created your account, you'll see different options, different templates. And you can look at those options. So maybe your goal is acquisition, or maybe if you have an e-commerce website, then the goal is revenue. But you can pick the one that makes sense for you. If you want to make your own, there's also an option for a custom goal at the bottom. So that's step 1. The second step is to give a description for your goal. So in this example, we're going to make it an email newsletter sign up, and then the type of the goal is going to be a destination, meaning that they got to the thank you for signing up web page. Then I click Next Step, and the last part here is to put in some details about the goal. So in this case, if I was sending them to a web page to track, I would put that final destination URL in as the way to indicate that a visitor had come and completed that goal. I hit Create, and voila, I can magically start tracking in Google Analytics whether a visit has resulted in that desired behavior. And then, over time, you can start to see reports that show you, okay, during this period of time, look, 99 people actually, or 99 goals were actually completed on my website. It could have been the same person. But during that time, all of the things that I want to measure as a measure of success actually happened. You have the ability to assign a monetary value to your goals as well, so you can start tracking the value to your business. Now, a lot of you out there are not e-commerce websites, so you're thinking, well, how do I do that? But it may be that you know that, let's just say, on average, every time 10 or 15 people sign up for your email newsletter, you get a $100 donation. So you can start using those types of figures to assign a value to all of the actions that happen on your website. And you can use these reports to figure out what's working, what's not, and then where you can try to make improvements on your website. Okay, so what to do with this information? Set up a goal for your website and create it so you can see the full ABC cycle in your Google Analytics reports. Now you can get down to every channel, every source of traffic, every source and medium of traffic, on what's making money for your business, what is creating that desired and helping that desired action happen there. And then with that information, you can start experimenting with your website to tweak things, to try to make improvements. You would be really surprised at how such a very small improvements and changes on your site can have a huge impact on your bottom line. And the reports in Google Analytics can help you figure out where to start. Okay. Andy gave a great list of some of resources for you to look at. Here it is again. So again, if you're up at night thinking about Google Analytics and all excited about setting this up for your business, but you're not sure how to get started, go and check out these resources. The Google Analytics Academy. I love the Google Analytics blog to learn about new things that are happening. There are tons of new reports and features that are being launched every day. This was just the tip of the iceberg, but we hope it gets you excited and helps you get started setting this up for your business. Thank you so much, and with that, I will say goodbye.